So what learning activities are possible now that we've created this set of flashcards? Well, first of all, we have the actual flashcards themselves, which you can see on the screen here. And if you want to make them fill the whole screen, we can do expand to full screen if you have a lot of text on them. If we click on enable audio, it will play both the target language and the English version of them. We can choose whether we want to see both target language and English, or for example just the English or just the target language if we want to test ourselves. Let's just do that, and if I click on the enable audio, it'll just play the German, and all they have to do is click their way through to actually learn them. And again, we could go back just to both sides, or we could have just the English playing. Once they've been through that, they could test themselves by shuffling the order of the items. It'll now make them appear in a random order. So once they've learnt the vocab in that way, they can then go into the study section, and this is a spelling section. And I've just heard the word November, so I now have to type that in the target language and press enter. Okay, and I've just heard am 6, so I've now got to type that in, and if I make a mistake, then what will happen is it'll show me where I've wrong. So again, it's told me where I've gone wrong, and it's spelt the phrase out letter by letter, and I try again for practice. And again, they can work their way through. Click on back to set page, take us back to the beginning. So that was a speller section. Let's click on learn. And again, I have to type in what the German word is for March. Click on the umlaut key and click on answer, and I was correct. Notice that on the configuration setting here, I've made sure that I don't ignore the case. Again, if you want the punctuation to be important, or things you put in brackets for genders and so forth, then you want to tick on those as well. And finally, there's a test section, which is a randomly generated test using the question types that you can see over here at the right hand side. So the first question I have to do is type in the German word for June, and then December, and so on. And then over here on the matching questions, I have to say, right, ich bin 12 Jahre alt, that's going to be B, and so on. All pretty self-explanatory. Work your way through that. And then there are two games that the kids can play as well. Okay, if we click on scatter, then all we have to do is to find a phrase and drag it on top of the target language equivalent, and do that as fast as we possibly can until we have finished. And then there's a space race game, which is not that useless for me. Kill the scrolling words by typing in their corresponding terms. So this time we see the word and we have to actually type in the German word for it before it gets across the screen, which in case of longer words is quite difficult because we are going to be in a space race. And it keeps the score for us here, and the number of lives we've lost and the level. If you get it wrong, then it asks you to have another go, as you can see here. And if we actually get the kids to join, then they can become champions and play against each other.